Hi, Charlie. I'm thrilled today to be working with you on step 6, which says we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Let's break it down.
All right, good. So what we've been doing, and I will do again, is we'll look and see what those words mean. And I don't know about you, but when I work step 6, I don't know that I was ever really entirely ready. So that's a big word in this step. And I want to tell you that what it means to be entirely means wholly and completely. And so entirely is, yeah, that's another big word, entirely ready. So do you think you were entirely ready? I don't know. Ready means willing, inclined, and resolved. So really, when we talk about step 6, what I'd like for you to think about, it's sort of a paradoxical step, really, when you really look at it. And I always heard that step 6 and 7 are where the rubber meets the road. And I always thought, what is that about? Because I think a lot of people just kind of skip over 6 and 7 because they're sort of short. And after you do 5, you feel like you've done so much work that, like, what is the 6 and 7 doing? So it's sort of like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Did the egg make the chicken or the chicken make the egg? And it's sort of like this in our spiritual consciousness when we decide that we're entirely ready to take this paradoxical step. And we're saying that we're entirely ready to understand that we have defects. But the rest of the step says to have God remove them. So am I going to be ready to do that? And then step back and let God do that work. That's a big spiritual step to take, I think. It was for me, because there's a lot involved in the stepping back and thinking that I was not in control of all that. So that's what I really want to talk about in this step. How, when you get ready, and what is actually, it says we're entirely ready to get rid of these defects of character. So what does that actually mean? And have them removed, or to get rid of them, to have them eliminated, and it means that we have to own up to whatever that is in step 6, that saying, yes, I have these things that are not good things in my life, but I really must pray about being entirely ready so that God could remove them. And what I always think of in this step are the ABCs. And I think we talked about that a little bit before, but the A part is that we have to admit that we are addicts and alcoholics and cannot manage our own life. And then the B part, and the ABCs is really good because it's like, goes back to first grade. What did you learn first? What is primary here? And in this step, realizing that, that I couldn't manage my own life. What? I couldn't manage my own life. I was doing pretty good. Only I wasn't doing so well, after all, when I took a look at that. And the B part is that no human power could have done it. It's like, wow. So here we are at the sixth step, saying that, we're entirely ready. We get it, that we can't manage it, that only God could take it and manage it for us. So that's the stepping back to remove the defect. And the C part is the promise part, which God could and would if he were soft. So this is the part where I think the seeking part comes to step 7. For me, it does. In that, how am I going to seek God's help to help me remove these defects? And if I'm not ready, I don't think God takes anything when we're not ready. I kind of looked at this like a Southern gentleman, because I'm from the South. So, a Southern gentleman never goes where he's not invited, right? So God will not come in and take this from me when I'm not entirely ready. I have to invite my higher power in and allow that process to take place. So I think that's the hard part, is giving up that what I thought was control that I had, and invite my higher power in to say, okay, here's the defect. I discovered that in my 5th step. Here's the part where I'm praying for, getting ready for, being entirely ready for you to remove it, and then stepping back and let God have it. So that's pretty much, I think, a lot of rubber on the road there.
I do too, and
paradoxical.
I think 6 and 7, which we'll talk about in a bit, but I think 6 and 7 are often, like you said, kind of sped through or overlooked. And I think, you asked me, was I entirely ready? I was as entirely ready as I could be in the moment, and the freedom that the people that were helping me, guiding me through this, shared was that I didn't have to do this perfectly. I had to do it to the best of my ability in that moment, knowing that, I was going to try to take things back, but in the moment, or that more character defects would be revealed. But for that moment, I was as entirely ready as I possibly could be to have the identified character defects removed. So that was helpful for me.
That's the part about where the spiritual principles take in, I think, though, Tammy, is we're only just so human. We can only do it to the best of our ability, like you said, at any given moment. And God knows that. He takes that into consideration. So the practice of willingness and the humility that it takes to practice that step, I think it's called surrender. Put your sword down, step back, and just let the process take hold. And that's the part where the willingness comes in, where I might think I'm entirely ready, but until I actually step aside and give up that control and practice surrender and willingness, I will never know the gifts that the 6th step will bring.
Great place to stop. So we'll end step 6 here, and we'll be on to step 7.
We'll be on step 7 next.